Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando, Wednesday, March the 18th, 6:30 p.m. Thank you so much for your support. I know that usually we come out on Thursdays, but we're doing this one-off this week, and today the vibes are kind of shifting. What it seems for what the club has put out on social media. Um, the Oscar Pareja era is in the rearview mirror, and Perelmania has officially arrived at Inter&Co Stadium. We saw the spark, the energy, and obviously we saw one result against Montreal. But the real test isn't in winning just one game. I think I'm calling for being a little bit more level-headed. It's all about staying consistent when the schedule gets tight, especially against top-notch competition. Today, we're breaking down the midweek noise. We've heard from Coach Perelman and Braian Ojeda, and the message is clear. The standard has been raised, and there's no more excuses. They got to be pragmatic. So we've got a massive clash against Nashville SC coming up. Definitely a team that it's on the up and up, that has top-notch players. And they're coming off a dogfight with Miami. So we'll see what happens. That happens tonight. Are they going to be tired? We'll see. Are they going to be vulnerable? We'll see. If Orlando City wants to prove that we are a playoff threat with this current squad, we have to bury them at home. We're going to be looking also at injury reports. We're going to be talking about the game in itself, the potential lineups, and we're going to also give you score predictions. So also we're going to be discussing OCB. They're going to be taking over Miami 2 right here at home at Inter&Co Stadium. It's a rivalry. It's personal. They're really turning on the big lights for them. And definitely we're going to be discussing that also. So just make sure to stop what you're doing, smash the like button, get in the chat. Is Perelman really the answer? Or is this just more like a honeymoon phase? One date and maybe a little peck on the lips, you know what I mean? With the fan base, we'll see. So what's up, David? What are you looking up to, man?
Not much. I'm excited to see how this weekend's going to go. I think it's going to be a little weird just because they do have that midweek game against Miami. It's actually kicking off in about 25 minutes. So they, of course, did run out their A squad. So because obviously they want to win CCC. So it'll be interesting to see. Our best case scenario is somehow these teams go into extra time and then they can really just run each other's legs out. And that would be great for us. But we'll see what that looks like. Don't forget as well, they're in Miami tonight. This is the last game in the old stadium for Miami, funnily enough. So they will have to travel. So that'll put a little bit more on Nashville as well. But even with a rotated squad, it's still going to be a pretty solid team. So we need to make sure we go in with a good game plan and have a way to beat them. Because remember, guys, this is a really tough stretch for us. We've got Nashville now. We get a little bit of a break, and then we take on LAFC, and then Columbus right afterwards. So not a fun stretch for us, but there's some points to be had in that stretch. So I think we just need to plan accordingly, and we'll see what Perelman comes up with.
Yeah, 100%. Today again we're going to be discussing what's happening with Nashville. And to start, Nashville right now is one of the toughest teams in the MLS. I mean, they're coming of a high. Obviously we're talking about the Miami. The Miami game tonight in about 30 minutes. And they had a really tough game against Messi, leg one, and now they have also a win over Columbus, which is another foe that we're going to be facing. So, their style to me, it's they're very good at defense. And also they have a young keeper that's been a revelation, Braian Ojeda, I believe his name. And he has multiple clean sheets already. So he's a pretty good keeper. And another point that I saw that I think it's good to touch is Cristian Espinoza. It's a resurgence finally, Christian Espinosa playing for a team that he really is enjoying playing for in the MLS. So he's been the perfect partner for Hani Mukhtar, which already was a headache for Orlando, even when Orlando reached a conference final. So Orlando has a big task ahead at Geodis Park. What are your, for starters, David, your expectations on this upcoming game?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people chatted about this on Monday, but, we didn't want to take too much away from the weekend because, not a super heavy opponent. We want to get our feet under us and all this kind of stuff. I will say, and this might sound weird to some people, but I think this is a nice, segue into a better opponent, right? We pick up a win, we pick up some momentum a little bit. We're able to take that into Nashville. The kickoff time's kind of weird. 6:15 is odd. I don't know who picked that time for kickoff, but whatever that is. I think the biggest question and what makes this really hard for Perelman is you just don't know who's going to play on Saturday, right? Because of the midweek clash against Miami, you would expect that maybe they want to give the rest to their A guys. I could see that if they don't beat Miami tonight, that they might just want to run the A guys out there on Saturday and really just try to get their season, to another level. I picked them to be first in the East, so I still think they're going to be really good regardless of what happens with this CCC performance. But I think this is going to be a really tough test for Perelman. I think it's going to be the toughest out of the next three that we've been talking about. I know that sounds crazy because LAFC is also very good, but at least with LAFC, you'll kind of know what you're going to get out of your opponent. There's not much that we need to wait on or a midweek getting in the way or anything like that. So, this Nashville one could be a bit sticky. Our record in Nashville is not, our record against Nashville in general is not super great, but our record in Nashville isn't much better, to be honest. So we don't really have that to look forward to. So that's a little tough, to be honest. But I think if I remember correctly, we are 7-5-5, but as of late, Nashville's kind of had our number. I know we stole that win in September. And I shouldn't say steal because we earned that win, but we took that win in September. Yeah. But then before that, we went a pretty bad stretch of Nashville beating up on us. So I'm hoping it's one of those. I'm hoping it's one of those situations where these guys kind of just rise to the occasion and find a way to stick it out.
One of the most talked about quirks in this Perelmania era today, and it was about Perelman climbing a 20-foot aluminum coaching tower during training sessions at the training ground. He uses the elevated vantage point for tactical drills to get clearer overhead view of spacing, movement, and organization of the team.
I saw he said he was afraid of heights.
So then he mentioned he was afraid of heights. Now, I do want to say it's this is not new in soccer. I'm not surprised. I know for a lot of people, and again, I feel like they're trying to overhype it a little bit. We got to be level-headed, guys. It's cool. The Peruvian national team does it all the time. Teams that are not even have good players like Orlando do this. But I felt like, maybe it's kind of taking a different playbook than Oscar. That's for sure. I feel like it's a little different because in the end, he was in charge of the offense. So Oscar was in the ground and he was up top looking at the offense. One thing I'm going to give to Perelman is that Orlando scored probably some of the most goals last season. And so he was in charge of that. He was in charge of the set pieces. So, I think that, it's cool that they're able to highlight that. And today, obviously, there's two towers, actually. There is a drone as well. But by the way, I'm not supposed to say this, but there's a drone and there's also a higher tower. So there is a 20-foot, and then there's also a smaller one. And he's just there, and he does works on the interventions through the towers. Now, I'm going to say this is a fresh perspective. I think it's for a lot of people it's new. I want to tell you guys it's not new in soccer, but I think showcasing it kind of gives them its own kind of vibe, you know what I mean? Its own kind of seal. And I mean, hey, as long as we win, yeah, as long as we're winning, I don't think there's an issue with that. I think keep doing it, you know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. So maybe tactically he's more inclined and to succeed because he's able to see it from afar. I think it's a good thing either way. What are your thoughts on the ladders and the drones and all that stuff that
Yeah,
that
I mean, it's cool. I like the ladder. I like what he's trying to do with it. I'm more of a technology guy, so like, why not just use the drone, and just kind of fly the drone over practice and do it that way? Especially since I think the whole thing is funny because he talks about like how afraid of heights he is and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I get it. I listen. I used to be somebody who was also afraid of heights when I was, kind of a younger kid and everything. And then when I started getting into some of the extracurriculars that required me to get up on big ladders and things like that, I got over that kind of quickly. But no, I think it's cool from a tactics standpoint. It allows you sort of in the moment to kind of see how the team flows and how the game flows and all that kind of stuff. It's a similar vibe of like if you're in an empty stadium and you sit up in like the
yeah
highest section you can and kind of see it down from there. I've always preferred those, like when we play like preseason games and stuff. Like I try to get them to like let me in the upper deck or like get them to open the upper deck because I want to go up there and kind of see the game from a different angle. And if you sit on like the east side on the up top there, it gives you a pretty decent angle of like how the game plays out. So yeah, I kind of like where he's coming from with this. I think it's funny that I think Mike Ramajo said today, shout out to Mike, that apparently Pareja had got him that anyway for the season, like before Pareja was mutually left. So it looks like Perelman was going to get his tower anyway this season, like nonetheless. But I think it's interesting that like the club was also open to getting some different resources and kind of look at the game a little
yeah
bit differently from what they normally do. I think it'll be interesting too, Luis, because we've heard stories about this over the last couple years that the Wilfs plan to like redo all of Osceola and eventually they're going to bring everything under the roof and all that kind of stuff. I bet they maybe make a more permanent structure. I guess it depends on who the manager is, but maybe they have a field with like a more permanent tower somewhere over there or like sort of like a mezzanine across a way, so maybe if coaches or whomever, like maybe Ricardo or whoever else wants to go over there, can kind of go up to that vantage level and kind of see things and see how that plays. It'll be interesting to see kind of what they come up with and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff. I appreciate the interim skip finding a way to find some different tools to use.
100%. Let's read some comments. It says, greetings, lads. Time to get into the bread and butter of a tough opponent, Trashville. Thank you, basically, Kiev. Says John Carrion, 26. What's up, everyone? Just got here. What did I miss? All right, man. You gotta give
Well,
your like button.
he got in at 6:36, so he didn't miss much. We were basically just doing introductions.
Yeah, and then it says if Nashville plays anything like they have against our last meeting, they press until it's 1-1, 2-2. They play keep away if they have 3 points on the line and we have to find a breakaway chance. They won't use the drone because if anything above the net, Spicer may woof it and hit the thing. There you go.
That's more like Carlos Rivas. They couldn't use one if Rivas was still here.
Yeah, Rivas definitely not Rivas. But so there was some words from Braian Ojeda and also from Coach Perelman. Let's listen to some of what Ojeda said real quick.
Yeah, I mean it's so important, right? It helped us so much to be able to get that win, and more so to be able to get that win in front of our fans. It picked up a lot of.
Obviously, if you guys could tell, I put the translation rather than the Spanish because it was just easier. So just
confidence for us.
That's why he's not talking. Or just FYI.
Well, obviously, there's things that we have to adjust and things that we have to fix, but we're in a good moment right now. It helped us with the confidence, and we're going to try and carry that forward into this game this weekend.
The team, I think.
So pretty much, Braian Ojeda was saying, kind of echoed team unity and humility. We got to stay humble as ever. Stressing the good momentum from the win against Montreal. Talking about the squad feels comfortable with a seamless transition. Because a lot of players that are young know Perelman from the OCB days. And then, Ojeda obviously was, like David was saying, the man of the match, one of the men of the match in that game. So good for Ojeda, man. Hopefully he continues climbing up the ladder, kind of like Perelman.
We raise the confidence. Of course, with the confidence, it's always about being balanced, not over, not low, because over and low balance is related with low performance. So we want to perform on high, so we need to keep the confidence in a balanced level. And the club in general, we have good vibes.
Good vibes. David, good vibes.
Pragmatism
All
and
right.
the versatility, I think, is required always in this game.
Pragmatism and versatility.
I think
Remember those words.
coaches and coaching staff in general and teams, we have our ideas, we have our principles, our methodologies, our plans. But at the end of the day, this game is beautiful because this game is over us and you can't control it 100%. I mean, Ivan is...
Now, this is going to upset a lot of people. I'm going to say right now, to all the colony of the Angulo haters, this is going to upset you guys.
It's an amazing player. If we talk about pragmatism and versatility, he's a great example. The quality he has, the way he pushed for the team, it's a great example for what an Orlando City player should be.
He's a great example of what an Orlando City player should be. Look at that. We went from, let's kick him out, what the hell, to he's an example of what an Orlando City player should be. Now, I mean, he's definitely improved. Good for him. I'm happy that he's improved. But obviously the criticism, was there. I mean, he cannot shy that away from that because the numbers don't lie, right, David?
2 games, Luis. That's all it's been so far where he's shown out. So listen, like,
we gotta be level-headed. We gotta be level-headed.
Like I admitted on Monday, I'll give him his flowers for this game. I thought he had a very good Saturday for sure, but the opponents just get tougher from here, and let's see if he can continue to carry that.
No, I understand. He's one of the kind of oldest in the squad, right? But I also I guess I don't want to brag, but I mean, I've seen some stuff. We gotta be a little bit level-headed. Like, we can't overhype, I feel, certain things, because then the fall is harder. And you know what I mean? So we gotta, and the way I feel like, and again, this is not to any disrespect, but I feel like the video of, like, the whole, pretty much they played the Rocky song, might as well, rising up back from the street, so they might have played Survivor on the video too, the Eye of the Tiger. And then, about the tower, that is like some influential thing, like 21st century, like, technique. And then now Angulo is like what an Orlando City player should be, which, I think his loyalty, the way he started from the bottom, now he's here. I totally get that, and he deserves it. But, we got to go step by step. We don't want to overhype somebody and then he just doesn't have a good game, and then people are going to kill him. You know what I mean?
Here's my biggest thing, though, Luis, is that last year, like I said on Monday's show, he had 0 goals and 4 assists in 2,600 minutes last year. And he had 3 blow-ups on the sideline when he got subbed off when he didn't want to go off. I understand that was last year, but that's what we're comparing it to. Right. Last year, he did not have a good year. He cannot look anybody in the face and say he had a good year last year. So far, he's off to a better start. There's no 100%. Doubt about that. 100%. But we have yet to play our toughest opponents of the season. until now, right? Miami was a tough opponent. We gave that game away, unfortunately. We gave that game away. But what is he going to do against Nashville? What's he going to do against LAFC? What's he going to do away against Columbus? Those are all games that I want to see. Does Ivan Angulo still have it, or does he end up going back to the level of he's not giving us anything and we're stuck? Listen, I'm all for, and in football especially, ride the hot hand, right? If somebody is doing well, continue to roll with them, right? And that's exactly
100%.
what I'm not out here saying Angulo still needs to be swapped out. He deserves to start at this point, right?
100%.
But we can't sit here and kind of, rise him up to the level of like, well, he's irreplaceable. Like, no, he's not there yet. He's had 2 good games in 3 games to start the season, right? And his best, arguably his best game in purple happened on Saturday, right? But not against a good opponent.
Right. Now, taking the good, if he continues improving, if he keeps this level, he's going to be an MLS All-Star.
He's going to get sold. That's what's going to happen, most likely.
Right.
Because of his age and from where he's from and his speed, he's going to get sold if he ends up having a good season.
And again, I do want to say, Angulo in general, if you look at his whole entire career, has not really been a goal scorer. He's been more of an assist-driven, drive it to the box, passing it out type of player. And again, I understand, you get wins with goals, clearly, and not a lot of people talk about the number of assists, but again, we gotta, we play Montreal, guys. Like, I understand it's a huge win. It's a new era. I love the video. I thought the video was great. It's just, I felt like, if we cannot be passive aggressive, you know what I mean? What if Nashville, we lose 2-1? We're gonna murder everybody. We're gonna go, cry to our mommy and go to the corner and suck our thumb. You know what I mean? And then the next day, and then we beat LAFC with a horrible goal, a butt fumble, and we win. And then what? We are the champ. We're gonna play. We are the champions by Queen. You know what I mean? So we gotta be a little bit more. I feel also mentally humble. Just go game by game. Don't overhype. I feel like, I don't know. Are you serious? There's no chemistry at all in this team. All right, we'll see. It says we can beat a tired Nashville Saturday, I believe. Game was horrible. Pareja destroyed the whole team. It was about time Pareja to be gone. Ojeda is not a 10, no midfielder. Montreal was not an opponent at all. Thank you for your input. It says, yeah, it makes me grit my teeth a little. 2 games is great. Good on him for changing, but when you have a reputation for being able to be fast and that's it, we got to see more. Yeah, and again, this is the beautiful thing about the sport, kind of what David was saying. Prove everybody wrong. You know what I mean? Keep going. You know what I mean? Keep the doubters unhappy, and keep being influential. That's all the team is asking for. And I like it.
For example, in the first part of...
Go ahead, man.
All I'm asking for at this point is I want him to match or exceed his 2024 numbers, which I think was 4 goals and 9 assists or something like that. So it's almost 15 goal contributions. If he gets 15 goal contributions again, I think that's a good season for Ivan Angulo. Now, if he can level up, if he can get 20 goal contributions or even 25 goal contributions, that would be amazing. But like I said, if he gets 25 goal contributions, he's not here. We sell him as soon as the offers start rolling in, because with his speed and all that kind of stuff, it's going to happen. What has to happen more than anything, and I think this works out well for Ivan Angulo, even though he was one of Oscar Pareja's trusted guys, right? He'd always rely on Ivan Angulo. This gives Angulo an opportunity to also get out from under the shadow
100%.
that he was kind of under, right? He can prove to another coach and also to Ricardo, in case Ricardo had any questions, to show that he's got what it takes to stay on this team, whether Perelman is the guy, which I still don't think he is, or whether, when the new manager comes in. I think this gives him an opportunity to say, hey, here's my worth, here's what I can do for you, all that kind of stuff. So, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. But like we said, he's got to be more consistent. And now we're up against big opponents, so he's got to do it against Nashville. He's got to do it against LA. He's got to do it against Columbus.
When we go in more like a tactical task or drill, I like to go high and coach from there because I have a better perspective. And
so I know it's gonna sound funny. And again, I don't want to. So I would have asked like, hey, so if you go high, what, you got a megaphone or something like hey guys, oh, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen coaches use megaphones, like be like, hey guys, go to the left, go to the right, I think that's what the tower gives you. It's more like a tactical view of the game.
I can be more effective with the interventions, and at the end of the day, the important thing I think is to earn time. If I can have clearness, a better perspective from up, I can be more effective in my interventions, and I can earn time from my players in the field. So basically, this is the point. I'm afraid from height. But for some reason, after a while, I get used to it, and I am not anymore afraid. So I started using more for my fear, and I did it. So I'm happy now. Como dije al principio.
No, and then this one's the Spanish part, but yeah, thank you to Orlando City Communications for that. Let's read some comments. This is, are you serious? No chemistry. It's no chemistry at all. Are you watching the Queen's Park Rangers? No, he's watching Newcastle against Barcelona. Get a load of this guy now. No, it's just opinions. I mean, Oscar says Pareja destroyed the whole team. I mean, I don't think he destroyed the whole team. I think he was a really successful coach until I think he reached his peak, and then he couldn't take us across the hurdle. And again, from my understanding, is he was part of all the coaching decisions, especially for this team. The team was going to get younger. He knew about it, and I guess just decided to leave. Decided to part ways as well, mutually agreed. So now some of the Nashville sits second in the Eastern Conference after 4 games, 10 points, 3 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses. Losing all the good players. Come on now. You have to understand, Oscar. I don't know if it's your first time, but bro, like before Pareja, Orlando City was non-existent. Like we all do respect. I mean, if there's anybody that put Orlando City on the map, was Oscar. Now, obviously, after the Open Cup, I think we reached our peak. And then it was kind of inconsistent. Not so much because it was an Eastern Conference final, and players come and go, bro. Like even Barcelona. You're gonna see some of those kids that beat Newcastle today, 7-2, are gonna be gone probably in the next 2 seasons somewhere else. It's just part of it. Now, what I do question, and I agree with you, is the moment when you do it. To me, I think if it was me, and again, this is in my opinion, I would have done it on the short season. I would have bottomed out there. You know what I mean? I would have gone young, but I think for this one that's still a long one, I would have probably kept, maybe Schlegel. I would have over Jensen. I would have probably restructured Gales's contract. Again, a lot of questions we can go back and forth, but we have the team who we have. And, people got to support no matter what, right? So it says Nashville second, 4 games, 10 points, 3 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses. You have also a stingy defense. You know how many goals they've conceded? 2 goals, David. They've conceded 2 goals. Also, they added Christian Espinosa, Patrick Jasbeck, Eddie Tagaseth, Matthew Corcoran, Maxwell Wodletzi, and Jason Palacios under BJ Callahan. And definitely it is a team to, like David was saying, I mean, he rates it very high. Now, how do you think that we can go with what we have currently, David, and try to at least draw against this team? Being completely, you're muted.
I don't know. It's going to be tough because based on some injury news that I heard today, and I know that's in our rundown a little bit, but just so that everyone knows, per sources that I've talked to, I'll start with some positive news. Thiago's back in full training. He's back in full training yesterday. He was in full training today, so Thiago should be available, which is fantastic. The bad news, I heard from a couple sources that Brekalo might have picked up a knock, and he might not be ready for Saturday because of the knock that he picked up. So if you're doing the math on that, that means Nolan Miller and Iago become your two only center backs on the roster for Saturday if Brekalo can't go. So it's a little concerning, obviously, based on the depth that we have there. And then the other one that I heard is that apparently Spicer might have also picked up a knock as well, and he might be out for a little bit of time. That one I wasn't able to, unfortunately, track down too far, but apparently he was even carrying like a little bit of something into the game on Saturday, but he felt like he could play through it, so he did, and he asked to play. So that one, both of them are really interesting. Obviously, the Brekalo one hurts a lot because if he can't go, not only does that mean he can't go for us, but that means he misses out on Slovenia's call up because he did get called up for Slovenia, and he is supposed to be joining them to go do that. But if he's injured, then that won't be the case. So pivoting to the game against Nashville, that makes emphasis on the defense that much more important, right? Like you have to really think about how you're going to line up defensively. And so I think the best way to navigate this is to do, obviously the back line would then be Marin, Iago, Miller, and Dorsey as your back four. And then I play with a double defensive pivot. So I play with either a Gusky or an Otavio who sits right next to Braian Ojeda, and you let those dudes just defend for 90 minutes, right? Just have them run everywhere, do what they need to go do, take care of business, all that kind of stuff, because I think that's the best way that you try to at least like earn a point, right? Like at least get some points out of this. I would start Angulo still. Obviously, he has no reason to not start him at this point, so you start Angulo again. Martín Ojeda, Tincho plays in the center, and then Paslic out right. And then you ride Duncan again because he got a goal, so you continue to play Duncan and all that kind of stuff. But what I'd like to see, and I'm hoping Perelman ends up being adaptive in case the game gets away from these guys, is be open to changing formation if you need to go change formation. So one of the things that I was thinking about that you could potentially do is there's two things I was thinking about. Number one, you could slide into a back five and then slide Marine in, like to play a back three with Miller and Iago to create a back three there. And then either bring Spicer, well, if Spicer's available, which he might not be, or have Angulo play as like sort of the wing back, have somebody play that wing back role, and kind of play more defensive with two guys sitting in front. Or you change it up to sort of what we did in the second part of the Red Bulls game where we played that 4-2-2-2 basically, and kind of give them a different look attacking wise and really try to punch Nashville in the mouth to try to get goals or score something in order to kind of like get on the front foot. So I think obviously we go into it again in a 4-2-3-1. I'd be surprised if we play anything else at this point. I think after the international break that we're about to have, you might see some formation changes, but with like injuries and all that kind of stuff, I would say you stick with the 4-2-3-1, but then you hope to God that Iago can have another good game like he had last weekend. Nolan Miller can slide back in and have a solid game as well, and just hope that we can hang on for dear life and not get peppered too much.
Now, Slovenia plays against Hungary is it Hungary? Yeah. Saturday, March 28th. And then Montenegro, it's a friendly. It's FIFA. Now he maybe has muscle fatigue, and they're probably saving him from Slovenia. Because I think that's wrong personally. I mean, there's some Peruvian players in another league that they called the national team, say, "Hey, don't call me for national team duty right now, man. I want to play with my team." But so we got to take that with a grain of salt. I think if Brecalo is not available, it's a huge blow for Orlando. I mean, again, not probably the most good, best start for Brecalo either way, in my opinion, as a center back. I'm still kind of iffy about it, but it's what we have right now. So all my good vibes to Nolan Miller. I think Perelman's overheaded tower view probably translates to real-time adjustments in pressing. I think we saw something like that in the Montreal game. Again, it's Montreal, guys, right? But we got to build on that offensive spark. So we have to be ready for two things, in my opinion. We know we have to build on that momentum, but we have to know that on the other side, we have BJ Callahan, which doesn't like Orlando at all. Always wants to have a good game against us, tactically. He's always gave Oscar a run for his money when it came to tactics. And he knows, if you watch Orlando's film, all the offense runs through Ivan Angulo. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to tap on that. They're going to either double mark Angulo with their mid, or they're going to try to be a little extra physical to disrupt the mid. So when David is saying to use three more of like D mids mixes, like Gusky, Otavio, and Braian Ojeda, I think that's a good idea on a personal note, because you're going to need strong legs, because Christian Espinoza, Hani Mukhtar, you got a really, really good midfield that can attack and defend.
Yeah, and I don't think I would be surprised if all three start, but I think you're going to get two of them, and then whoever starts on the bench is going to come into this game and end up helping close it down. But I think that also gives an opportunity to sort of the more Swiss Army players, like Taifi could be a big bench guy in this game, because his speed and normally the pace that he brings off the bench and sort of the life and the fight and everything like that. Another name that I wouldn't be surprised if we try to do a short-term call-up on is Dylan Judelson. I think he would be a prime person to bring into this game. He did, in the past, play a little bit of center back with the academy. It's been a while since he's done it, so I'm not completely sold that we'd put him in an opportunity like this, but you would need an emergency center back if you're going to go into this game, and I don't really know who your next option is. Maybe Marine can play there, and they could play Reed Brown out left instead. I guess it just depends on how you want to play that, but that's why I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make some kind of formational change in the back to try to compensate for not having the extra defender. And this is where it really stinks, right, Luis? Is we can't sit here obviously the goal was to throughout the offseason, we're talking about rumors and whatever. We were supposed to bring in Iago and Dusan Stojanovic, and we didn't have a backup for Stojanovic. And now we're seeing what's happening when we do end up getting an injury, because this is the worst case scenario for us, right? Is to get another injury on the back line. And it seems like that's exactly what happened. And we didn't really have a way to avoid that, right? Or get away with it. And unfortunately, Jansson's still a couple weeks away. He's not ready yet, right? Cartagena is still out. He's a guy that normally could slide into the back line. He's not available. He's still out with an injury. Jean Gerbet still has an injury. He can't pop into the midfield for us. So we're just it's just all these spots of where we could really use these guys right now. We just don't have the keys to do it. So again, it goes back to, we've got to rely on the kids to hope that they can help us piecemeal this together.
Well, not only the kids, I think we could exploit their CCL congestion schedule. And again, we need to see a 10 out of 10 Martín Ojeda and a 10 out of 10 Atuesta and Pasalic. I think Atuesta as well played really good. I mean, obviously, he's still kind of lingering some nagging knocks. So take it with a grain of salt. But we need to see those partnerships happening aside of obviously Braian Ojeda being the anchor.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that's my key. Is I think
Your
it's
DPs
Braian
need to show
Ojeda.
out. Your
Braian
DPs
Ojeda
need
needs
show
to
out.
boss the midfield again. Like he needs to control the midfield like he did against Montreal, against a better opponent, right? He needs to boss the midfield again, and then Tincho and Pasalic have to find a way to make goal contributions, right? There just has to be a way that they can get involved and take over this game. It's very similar to what Mukhtar does to us when he plays us, right? Hani Mukhtar always finds a way to slap us around a little bit or do something. And what makes it worse now, like Luis said, is they've got Espinoza now, and he's nasty. And then Sam Surridge last year was in the Golden Boot race.
Yeah,
and so like
he comes from scoring a couple goals too.
right.
So.
And so like we just end up in this like weird thing that like we like Luis said, we have to take advantage of the fact that they're going to be either on tired legs or these guys are not going to play at all because they're so tired, right? There are two things there. And Miami just scored, so now they're going to have to chase the game, which is good for us.
Which is good for us.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things of, and again, this is a great time for us to take advantage of Nashville, right? I don't care what the situation is for Nashville on the field. There's going to be Nashville fans that are going to say, oh, this win or this draw means nothing. We rotated, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a season game. We take points where we can get it, right?
100%.
The problem is, and I know Oscar said this a lot, and I know this is going to upset some people, but it's next man up mentality right now for this team. This team continues to take little knocks here and there. They continue to have a bunch of people injured. They've got to find ways to play the next man up mentality. The problem is this team is not as deep numbers wise as it is in years past. And so Perelman's going to have to get really creative in terms of what he's going to do in order to allow this team to do its thing. That's why I default to the 4-2-3-1, but I would not be surprised if the formation looks different on the day, depending on who's available.
Also, and I want to reiterate, the DPs need to show up. I mean, we talk a lot about the kids. And yes, we have Gusky, Taifi coming off the bench. It was a great spark of energy. You have, and I think right now, one of the best foreigners that plays in our squad is Ivan Angulo. But we need to see the same level of Pasalic and Ojeda. I know Ojeda just scored because obviously it was an easy peasy goal, but we haven't seen Ojeda scoring in a while before even that goal. So we need to see the DPs show up because even though we lack depth in quotation marks, they need to show up. And I think if they show up, and again, with their CCL congestion of Nashville, we need to go ahead and we could surprise them. Now, also, I do want to say, because Perelman has the vision, he has the tower, even though he's afraid of heights. But he was the guy who was in charge of all set pieces last season. So we got to see a better aerial threat and being able, when, let's say, they're going to knock and double mark Angulo on the wing and Angulo falls and it's a free kick, we're able to capitalize on that free kick. You know, we've had teams, if you follow Italian, the Serie A, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, that will only score based on set pieces. You know, like Parma, like even like at some point Napoli back in the day, Torino, which it doesn't exist, Roma with Totti. So they would exploit their aerial threats and set pieces. When's the last time we've seen a goal from a set piece for Orlando City?
It's been a while.
Right. And so when you are a team that lacks a little bit of depth and doesn't have maybe the star power and the momentum, than a team that literally is looking that on paper looks better than you, you got to surprise them by using all the weapons in your arsenal. If you don't, then we had an issue there. You know, we have to definitely, that's what makes us pragmatic and versatile, you know, by quoting Perelman, you know. So they're having a full week prep, right? And then, guys, the road after Nashville gets tougher, man, because then you got to go to LA. Yeah. And then after that, you got to go to Columbus. So We got to make sure that we hopefully become the road warriors. We've shown it before with Oscar, right? That we could be the road warriors. Obviously, we had, I think, some more experienced players. Now these young cats need to experience that now. So, anything you want to say? You want to do a starting 11, David?
Yeah, let's put together a starting 11. And while you get that up, I'll just kind of hit on this last thing of, I think the other thing that we're going to want to see from this game is Iago needs to continue to be physical, whether that's going to be against Sam Surridge or whether it's going to be against one of their other strikers. It's going to be vitally important that that he plays similarly to how he played Prince Owusu last weekend. I think that's how this team can be successful. If you can get rid of their striker and kind of keep that as somebody who's not going to bother the team as much, that's good. And then I would say one of Braian Ojeda, or the other midfielder, whoever sits down with him there, needs to know where Hani Mukhtar is at all times of the game. Just needs to be aware of where he is, be prepared for him, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the last one that you have to just kind of be aware of is, where is Espinoza? So Marin's going to have his hands full, assuming that he starts, of making sure that he knows where Espinoza is if Espinoza starts or gets into this game.
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, I think Espinosa is going to be tough. Let's do some comments real quick, and then we'll dive into the lineup. Do you guys have a theory on the knocks? It seems like it's occurred so far for us. We have people out left and right. Perhaps bad training tactics. Just seems peculiar to have so many guys out. Well, I mean, Brecalo, it's been throughout his career a little bit suffering from muscle fatigue. So, I mean, it could happen. I mean, he's been playing, even though it's easy for us to say, hey, he's not playing his best. I mean, he's been the most reliable defender right now. I mean, whether he's been playing kind of iffy and has some blunders, he's been our most reliable defender. So it might be some muscle fatigue. Hopefully, it's nothing tough. Now, when it comes to the other ones, you got Marin coming off injury. You got Thiago also. He skipped that last game because of muscle fatigue, because they're trying to prevent any, small tears or whatever, muscle tears. So, and yeah, so.
I'll say this, Luis. It could be a thing of like,
could be.
maybe we're training too hard. Like maybe it's just we're putting too much into training. Maybe our recovery days aren't as good. If you guys don't know, we have an interim strength and conditioning coach right now. So I'm not saying that this guy doesn't know what he's doing, but he's not the permanent guy. He's still considered an interim. So that could be a part of it too. I'm not sure what that looks like, but it is a interesting kind of coincidence of stuff. But like Janssen, for example, required surgery. I don't put that on the staff. Cartagena was coming back from his Achilles injury, and he ended up tweaking something else when that happened. Yeah. Again, I don't necessarily blame the staff. I think maybe Cartagena came back a little too quickly, and maybe that might be the reason why Cartagena is kind of in the situation that he's in. With Luis Otavio, he came over with a knock, so the club was aware of that. I don't know. I mean, maybe the club can do a little bit better at making sure that we don't run into those situations, but...
Says, I think Miller is going to be a substantial element to our team next match, along with Gusky. He's well earned his place so far, performance metrics. Says Orlando's best coach, says Oscar, was Pareja. We had a great team and chemistry ever since Pareja came in, but last year started fading. For his game this season was horrible. We got played with 16, 18-year-olds. I mean, what can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, you're right. He definitely was a coach that left his mark here. He will always be forever a Lion. But again, soccer is cyclical, and things weren't working out. Maybe he felt he wasn't going to be able to win with his team. Maybe he felt that he's tried everything and it's not working out. And they came to part ways mutually with the club. And the club is always going to do better for what the club needs to do and what the the person requests, right? I don't think, and again, there was a big, and I do want to say there was a big outlet in Orlando, Fox 35. I'm just gonna say it, that they put, and they went to the press conference, which is the funniest thing. They went to the press conference the one that Ricardo did, and then they put Oscar Pareja fired, and that's not true. And they put it on the Fox 35 website, and they put Oscar Pareja or some shit like that. Like, sorry, but like he like they botched his last name completely. I think that was flagged by the club. Because I mean, Fox 35 is saying the fake news. We gotta go fake news here, right? So crazy. But look, man, Oscar, forever a Lion. Now we have Coach Perelman, and I think we need to give him all support. But also, if we get eaten by Nashville 8-0, or like Barcelona 7-2 against Newcastle, then yeah, we're gonna say something about it. I mean, we gotta analyze the game. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? But I totally agree with you, man. I mean, again, your opinion is golden, so don't worry about that. So thank you for your comment. So let's do the lineup. So right here, that's what it shows, a 4-4-2. So Brecalo possibly not there, so you're gonna put Nolan Miller, right? Nolan Miller or Iago with Marin and Dorsey, right? Or would you rather see a line of 3 on the back?
I think it's going to be 4 on the back. I would be surprised if it's I'd be surprised if it was 3 in the back this early.
Pasalic and Angulo, I think they're not going to move. I think maybe Ojeda is going to be here with Duncan, kind of move forward, kind of like not so. He's not a 10, but maybe a second striker like that. And here, obviously, do you feel like the club's going to run with a Tuesta, or they're going to run with Gusky? I would like to run. I would like to run with Gusky personally.
I was going to say, I think they're going to go more defensive, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're going to run with Gusky. I think this is it. Personally.
Yeah, I think that's probably basically it. And again, it just depends on how Perelman rates Otavio versus Gusky, but I think it's probably Gusky over Otavio.
Yeah, I think what's going to be is Otero at the helm, Marin, Iago, Miller, and Dorsey.
Oh, I think Crépeau goes back in.
Do you think Crépeau goes back in?
Yep, I'm convinced he goes back in.
Well, yeah, you're probably right.
Because remember, they want to give him every opportunity
you're right,
to win the job for Canada.
Yeah, you're right. So Crépeau at the helm, Marin, Iago, Miller, Dorsey. Then you have your 2 D mids, which will be Ojeda and Gusky. Angulo and Pasalic on the wings, Angulo on the left, Pasalic on the right. And right up top, not so much a 10, but we're probably going to see, like we've seen it in transition before, Ojeda going further down and then Maguire kind of sitting back defending here. We've seen that. Also, we've seen Maguire going up top and Ojeda kind of staying back. So we're going to see him like that. Ojeda as a second striker and then Duncan Maguire as your 9. I think that's what's going to be it. I think that's the safest lineup, in my opinion, that they're going to put out. So
yeah, and then I would say if you need energy and speed, you're looking at people like Thiago off the bench,
100%. Yeah,
Taifi, Otavio to close it down if you're looking for somebody to close it down. Tariq Reed-Brown is another one that you could see to potentially close it down.
Are we going to see Pedro Leal maybe again or no? Or Justin Ellis?
I don't think Pedro Leal gets the call. If anyone, I think Justin Ellis might get the call.
Yeah,
I think Harvey should be on the bench as another option for this team. If they can bring him, I would bring him, to be honest with you, based on what he's done with
Harvey
OCB.
Saragian?
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to see him in the second half, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like him and Justin Ellis would be nice substitutes to bring on if you're looking for a spark.
Like if Maguire's not giving, and with all the respect to Duncan, but if Maguire, I mean, again, I don't want to knock anything out of Duncan. He scored a goal and great for him. But it was a goal that even my grandma would have scored that goal, with all due respect. Like you know what I mean? Like, not only that, Angulo hit the post. Hit, literally, like that was gonna be like, what the hell, Angulo? What do you do? Right? You did everything right. No, either way, we gotta take it with a grain of salt. If Duncan's not working out and the game is 1-1, and it's minute 70, look, I'm going up to 70, and it's on a hold, and Nashville's getting a little tired because they just played Miami. Bro, adrenaline injection, Justin Nellis with a bang bang, and then you bring Harvey fucking knocking people down. I like that. I like that. If
And don't forget, and they're an option too, because OCB doesn't play until Sunday.
There you
so
go.
you can bring them with you to
Hell
Nashville if you want to bring them to Nashville.
Mr. Perelman, if you're listening, please ponga señora a Harvey. Che. Vamos Harvey, a Harvey. Ponlo a Justin Eddy, señor. No, I really think that'll be. I mean, again, people probably, you're crazy. Like, you're asking for OCB players, bro. That's all we got. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with all the respect, that's all we got, dude. Like, that's all we got. But yeah, this is our lineup. So this is, I think, the safest. And yeah. Any predictions? Do you want to go for a score prediction, David?
Yeah, I'm going 2-2 draw.
Man,
I just can't see us do enough to get 3 points, but I think we get out of there with 1.
All right.
Just because they're chasing the game right now, and I think they're going to chase the game for a while, so I'm hoping they get spent, and then...
I love what Communications did with the sweet victory from SpongeBob. That was awesome. By the way, I did want to say that was great. I was vibing with that. I'm gonna be the positive one here again. I'm gonna say minute 85, 1-1 at the helm. Bro, like off a corner kick, Justin Nellis scores.
Okay.
2-1 Orlando, bro.
Okay.
2-1. We win a Geodis Spark.
I'd love that if we could pull out a victory.
If we pull out a victory, bro, oh man. Perelmania is running wild for sure after that. 100%. This Harvey will be an absolute unit. I genuinely hope he gets a big chance soon. He's made for the main team. Kids bagging goals. Like and his friends when
not just goals either. Like he's laying off some perfect balls for like assists and making dudes miss. And
when David first joined LPO, we were doing the hot takes for the actual players for the call ups, for the draft. And when we heard the Harvey was being drafted, and one of his friends joined live, and he said that his nickname was The Truth. So hey, I'm down with that. I'm down with that. So fantastic. So now, thank you so much for your support. 84 people live right now. We're killing it. Thank you.
Before Luis, before we move to OCB. So there's been some rumors that have come out over the past hour. Mm-hmm. Orlando City has been linked to a player potentially by the close of the window. According to multiple different transfer source outlets, Orlando City, Minnesota United, and Atlanta United are all interested in the services of Keylor Navas, according to a few sources.
Keylor Navas? No.
And apparently Pumas can't match the offer that these MLS teams are offering to Keylor Navas.
Oh.
Do I think Orlando City is legitimately in for Keylor Navas? Nope. But I think it's really interesting that we're one of the teams that's linked in this conversation.
Well, hey, man, you asked me what my opinion would be if you bring Keylor Navas over to Orlando. I mean, you got to understand. I mean, I think that he still have a lot left in the tank. Keepers age a little different than other players. Now, it also depends how much money. Now, is he an automatic leader? 110%.
There's no way, though, because according to these sources, he's making $1.5 million with Pumas right now.
Yeah, then.
So we're not involved because we would have paid. We didn't want to pay Pedro that.
I haven't heard absolutely nothing about.
Well, this just broke like an hour ago, so I don't.
No,
I don't know if it's real.
I mean, it might be a rumor. I mean, let me look
I
at
just thought it was funny that like we got linked in that conversation because of course, like everything, Miami got linked first, but then Miami's not going to pay that much for a keeper. That doesn't make any sense, especially because they have St. Clair and everybody else that's going on over there. And then afterwards, there were a few reports out that said us, Atlanta, and Minnesota were all interested.
I see Atlanta.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta may do that, but I mean, would I get mad if, let's say, he says, hey, I mean, if what's his name, Crepeau is earning what, 700,000?
Yeah, 600,000, 700,000, something like that.
Right. If he's able to match a little less, I mean, I just think for Orlando, I think Orlando is riding with Crepeau and Otero, in my opinion. I mean, realistically speaking. Now,
well, it doesn't make sense because you just let Pedro walk.
Right.
I mean, are you saying that Keylor Navas at this age is better than Pedro Gallese? I don't know if he is.
I don't think so.
And I'm not convinced. I'm looking at his stats and they're not bad, but like I don't think he's better.
I mean, he played in the most successful Costa Rican team in history.
Yeah.
A historic team that run the World Cup, and also he played for Real Madrid. Those were his highs. Yeah. And PSG at some point. And then
this season for Liga MX, he's about the middle of the road for goalkeepers, like on a lot of the statistics. So, and he's at 0 goals prevented, which means he hasn't let some in that he shouldn't have, but he also hasn't stopped some like over the average. So he's been middle of the road basically the entire season. And then the other thing is, you won't have to pay a transfer fee because his contract is up in June. So he would walk on a free. So I don't think it's us.
I don't think it's interesting. And again, you're gonna get a lot of people from abroad, and this has happened with Peru as well. And I actually got into a discussion with somebody, a journalist in Peru. I'm not gonna mention who, because they're using the club's name for fake news, like fake news, like fake. Like the club said to me, "We've never heard of this player. Like this is false." And so when I confront it and said, "Hey, this is fake, man. You know it's fake. You know what was happening is this, and this is again agents that just won the 5% commission, unfortunately, or 6% or 3%. They sometimes feed media to sell smoke to people, to open the discussion and just throw names out there out of the blue. And media that has big mics in certain parts of the world repeat that, and then it becomes noise, and then their player that they're representing starts getting, but if this team is interested in this player, maybe I should offer him something, right? And so it starts spurring the offers.
Yeah.
Don't be deceived. They try to do that with Orlando. They've used Orlando's name before in Peru for bullshit players. Sorry. They've used Inter, Minnesota United. Like they always use the same teams. We gotta take it with a grain of salt. But I don't think we're targeting a keeper, bro. With all the respect.
I mean, I'll say this: if we are targeting a keeper,
unless he gets paid $5 in a public sub, maybe.
Well, no. What I was gonna say is, if we're targeting a keeper, what this truly means is we don't rate Crepeau or Otero. That's what that means. Is that we don't rate them at all. But then also, no offense, but why would you go out and get a keeper?
Yeah.
Before you get a coach, like you don't even know if Perelman's going to be the manager.
Well, that means. Well, if this is true. Again, pure speculation right now. That would tell you that they're planning to ride with Perelman.
No, I don't think not necessarily. They either are planning to ride with Perelman or they're riding with somebody who rates Keylor Navas. Right. Yeah, which could be a lot of South American managers, honestly.
It could be. I mean, again, but a Brazilian manager with all the risk. I mean, again.
Yeah.
Again, and this is normal in South America. I know in the United States it's not, and it's wrong. I'm just saying, it's wrong. I would have said be clear. But if you're Brazilian and Argentinian, and you've won multiple World Cups, and your leagues are top notch in the sphere of this thing we call soccer,
Yeah.
and you get a resume of a guy from freaking Costa Rica, you're like, okay, come on, bro.
Well,
Nah,
I'd agree.
like,
I
it
agree.
doesn't matter if it's Keylor Navas. Like, if your coach
But
is gonna
see,
be,
I think it might, because Keylor
no,
Navas
if
has
your
played at
coach,
some of the top clubs
bro,
in the
I
world.
guarantee you, if your coach is Brazilian and Argentinian, they're not gonna go and pick a Costa Rican guy.
He played for Real Madrid. He played for PSG. He played for. I mean, it
Look,
just.
bro, they wouldn't even look at Pedro.
But the problem with Pedro was, I think.
No, like, they wouldn't even pick a Peruvian guy. Like, the Argentinians and Brazilians will probably look more like Uruguay and maybe even Colombia. They wouldn't rate.
Call up Carlos Coronel again and say, "Hey, you're sitting on the bench."
Like if let's say we're like, now, if our coaches, let's say Wilfred Nancy, Jim Curran, and they're like, oh, it's freaking Keylor Navas, bro. Like,
or even Dominic Torrent. I think if it's Dominic Torrent, it's probably something similar.
It's but if it's a South American, they're gonna go for what they know.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's like rumors like about Tite and all that stuff. Like, Tite, the first keeper he's gonna have in his mind is, I can guarantee you, is not gonna be Keylor Navas. He's gonna probably think of the keeper from Vasco da Gama, or the keeper from freaking Flamengo or Palmeiras. He's not gonna think of Keylor Navas.
He's gonna think of Ederson.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. Like, CONMEBOL kind of looks down at CONCACAF, and then UEFA looks down at CONMEBOL, and it's just like that, man. It's weird. Yeah. It's bad.
So speaking of coaches, real quick, there is a little bit more coaching news that came out today. Not a lot, but a little bit more coaching news. It does seem like we keep getting linked to South American coaches, which shouldn't surprise anybody.
Makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Gallardo's name has come up a lot more. Marcelo Gallardo's name has come up a lot more in terms of a coach that's looking to potentially coach outside of South America. He's apparently talked to some people and said he's very much open to coaching outside of South America. Tite, there was some news that came out about Tite today. Tite and his agents and all that kind of stuff said that he is not interested in coaching in Brazil again after he's on his like second or third failed project in Brazil. He's looking to coach abroad. They're going to start selling him in Saudi Arabia. But here's my deal. I don't think he's going to end up getting a great offer from Saudi Arabia, because I just don't think those clubs rate him all that much. However, if they do, it does open the door to say if Orlando City wants to kick that door open again and bring Tite in, he is available and somebody that the club could potentially look at. I'm not saying that I have any knowledge of whether or not they're actually looking at Tite, but I do know that he is available and it is somebody that could potentially look at if they're looking to bring in a South American coach.
How I feel about Tite? I mean, the best, and I don't know if Ricardo will agree with me if he watches, but the best version of Tite for me was 2012 Tite with Corinthians, the world champions. They beat Chelsea with goal of Paolo Guerrero, with Ralphie, with Casio, with that team. It was a magical win, and to me that team was an amazing team. Now he's 64. And again, you got to look at the costs. Now, yeah, he's a great coach. Will he know Thiago, Iago? Will he know the Brazilian people? Of course. Is he a coach that with a lot of prestige? 110%. But that will mean that the club is going to have to hire a permanent Portuguese translator to even follow him to the bathroom. Because at 64, my friend, you're not even going to say hello. And you're going to need that translator to be, because Ricardo's not going to translate for him. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have to, so it comes with, you're going to have to bring a translator, right? And it's like that. I mean, and again, would he work? Maybe. He's had some health complications before. I mean, I think he's a great coach. Now, do I think that they're going to target a coach now? from my understanding, and again, I'm bringing it up what my sources said. The interim coach, the interim assistant, it's here already. I do want to say. So they're waiting to announce an interim coach for Martín Perelman. Sorry, they're waiting for an interim assistant coach.
Yeah, the interim was in the building. Well, we talked about it on Monday's show, but he was in the building earlier this week.
Yeah, so he's waiting the whole paperwork situation for him to be announced and do the presser.
I heard he was Italian, but I don't know if that's 100% true. But I had heard that he potentially is Italian.
We'll see. Will he be Antonio Nocerino, former Orlando City player?
I don't think so.
That'll be amazing.
I wish, but I don't think
That'll
so.
be amazing. But
I love Noce.
Yeah, but first sources says there's no point in interviewing coaches right now or not support Martín Perelman with the stretch of games we have ahead.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like I said on Monday's show. Do I think the club is doing active interviews right now? No. Do I think the club is reaching out to agencies that represent managers and asking, is so-and-so interested? Is so-and-so interested? No. Whatever. Yeah, I'm sure they're doing that. That's due diligence.
Sure,
you should be doing that, right? If you're not doing that, you're making a mistake. You should be doing that.
100%.
But I think we could potentially depending on how Nashville goes, we might see some movement during the international break. Maybe you see a couple of phone calls. Maybe you see some people being talked to. But again, like I said, if we get a new manager, I'm convinced that I think it's around the World Cup break. It's not going to be this early in the season. There are some folks out there. I want to shout out my friends over at the In 90 Minutes podcast. They've been saying and banging the drum that they think somebody is going to be hired within the next couple weeks, potentially during the break. I have not heard that personally, and I don't have the feeling that I think that's going to happen. But we'll see. I mean, this whole manager thing is way up in the air. People have no idea potentially where we're at with all of this. All I will say, though, is that if Ricardo is not doing his due diligence to reach out to agencies or find out who's available or who's interested in coming here, that's not good. He should be doing that. That's part of his job. So I will say, though, to me right now, with all the injuries piling up and all that kind of stuff, I would say I'd love to see Ricardo bring in one more body before the window closes. I think that would be really nice for us. But we haven't heard a single rumor or anything that's linked us to anybody. So I think it's unlikely. But either way, he should be looking, again, poking and saying, okay, what managers are out there and what's that. Look, again, if Perelman goes on a run, and let's say he wins the next 3 games, or, he gets a lot of points out of the next 3 games, then yeah, you have to give him the opportunity to keep going until he proves to you that he can't do it. But to Luis's counterpoint, if he gets blown out, like if he gets blown out against Nashville, he doesn't have a good showing against LAFC, doesn't have a good showing against Columbus, then yeah, the club should start interviewing people and picking up the phone, right? It's just the way that you have to do these things. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the next couple weeks go, but as of right now, you have to put your faith into Perelman.
Yeah, you got to put your faith with Martín Perelman right now. In the club, it's, from my understanding, it's a halt on that. I mean, of course, they're always looking, but I mean, it's a halt on the whole search, from my understanding. But also, if let's say what David is saying becomes reality, and they have a coach and that comes in, Perelman ain't losing his job.
I could see him. Yeah, I was going to say he's going to stay as an assistant on the first team, or he's going to go to OCB and take over OCB again.
Right. So that's
honestly, in the future, I could see him running the academy for Orlando, like the whole academy from top to bottom.
Yeah.
They're not going to get rid of the guy that's there now, and I'm forgetting his name, and I feel bad, but they're not going to get rid of him. But I think once that guy, is that his name? I think once he moves. Once the academy director moves on, that's kind of like at the top of all that. I could see Perelman being the guy where he's going to oversee all the players from U9 all the way to U19, and then as well as OCB, and just kind of say, here's where all these players are in the pipeline. Here's all these people to look out for.
We're going to see the ambition of Orlando City too, because I mean, be completely honest. Yes, we could go. I mean, we have a. Again, I don't want to. Again, I'm supporting Coach Perelman, and I support, the people that are in charge of the club right now. I think they're phenomenal people. and I give due respects to Oscar too, but you're going to see where they're going to lie. So essentially, when the World Cup break hits, and after the World Cup break, and the World Cup was a great tournament and all of this stuff, right? And we start back up again. If they decide to run with Perelman, it's going to say kind of what. That's when a lot of people could say, hey, I'm disappointed. I wanted to get a new coach. I wanted to get new players, whatever. Or you could see a Rob Valentino situation. Hey, thank you, Martin. You're going to step down. You're going to be assistant coach. I got Joseph Mourinho coming in. Welcome, Joseph. You know what I mean? Like, and if you see that type of ambition, I think it's going to spark fans to talk, and positively, more than likely, of what's coming for the club. Now, again, continuity is always good. I mean, again, the success percentage is a longer route. Like, it's a longer route. So it kind of depends. Like, it has happened with Rob Valentino. It happened with Luis Scaloni from Argentina. There's success stories about being the assistant, taking the interim, and then taking the coach position, and it has worked. But also, there's been nightmares, and that's a good point also to kind of put out there, because the club needs to be assertive on how they're going to take the ball. It's either they're going to maximize their chance after the World Cup, or they're going to stay quiet and ride the wave, ride the lightning with Coach Perelman. You know what I mean?
Depending on Luis, I'll say this. Perelman will learn a lot from Ancelotti when he comes here.
100%. I mean, bring Ancelotti, bring him and his cigars. I think
he'll bring Neymar with him too.
He will love to smoke on the tunnel.
He'll bring Neymar with him, so we'll get Neymar as well.
You imagine? Bro,
no, after Neymar gets called up for the World Cup, because Ancelotti will include him in the squad, they have a good World Cup, and then he comes to Orlando with Neymar.
Neymar and his massage bench, because the dude's getting hurt. Man. But anyways, we're going to switch gears into talking about OCB versus Inter Miami 2, MLS Next Pro, coming up in the next few days. Sunshine State Derby rivalry clash. At Inter&Co Stadium, OCB sits mid-table in the East, 10th, Miami 2 near the bottom. Perelman knows these players intimately from his OCB coaching days. First playoff berth in 2023. Many homegrowns came through that pipeline. I feel like we're going to expect some competitiveness and this fire, because what's becoming a good attraction for these young lads is, if they are doing really good at OCB, it's now translating to the first team. You saw Pedro Leao score a couple goals, boom, called down. Justin Nelly's called up. And they know, hey, if I do good, even Tristan Himes, which I want to say hello to, even Himes, he started getting shutouts and saves and blocks and clearances. Hey, and
and I'll say this, Luis. Tristan Himes is my guy to watch.
Yeah, me too.
Him and Judelson are the next two for the first team.
Yeah,
you could see eventually sign first team contracts. They're that good. Judelson's been that good for a while, but Tristan Himes, he's only had 2 professional games in his entire career, and both of them he's played well in. So I'm really high on his stock. I think Juan Rojas gave himself a good name this past weekend. I know he still let in 2 goals, but I thought he played well considering what those looked like. So just a lot of exciting stuff to look at here. Now, the interesting thing about this OCB game that we won't be competing with on last OCB's game is, like I said earlier, Orlando City plays Nashville on Saturday at 6. Obviously, after the game, the boys will fly back to Orlando, which means anybody that they bring with them that would normally play for OCB should be available for selection on Sunday. And obviously, most likely, those kids won't get probably a lot of playing time. We'll see. But that should give you the full complement available for Inter Miami 2. Now, a couple names to watch. besides the guys we've talked about. Obviously, Harvey Sajarin and Justin Ellis are two guys you should be keeping your eye on for OCB. If you're not, you're missing out. Pedro Leal's going to try to settle back in with OCB. Let's see if he can continue his red-hot streak that he's had with OCB so far. Dylan Judelson should start in the midfield for you. He's a guy to watch. Really solid there. Heim should get the start and goal. Really awesome. I'm going to give a shout-out to my guy, Jalen Yearwood. He had a great game against Carolina Core. A really good start for him. I hope he continues to do well because I still think that he can earn himself a first-team contract eventually. I think he's got that kind of talent. He's just got to figure out how to elevate a little bit more. So I'm excited to kind of see what he can bring to the table. But if I'm the interim head coach of OCB right now, I'm going full bore and trying to win this game. I think that's the goal. You figure out a way. You figure out a way to make it work. And you want to pace this team. Inter Miami too looks bad this year. They don't look like a really great team. They don't seem like they're very well put together. So this should be a great opportunity for the Lions to come out and stick it to them. So
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game. Make sure everybody comes in support. As well on Friday, the Pride plays against Denver Summit. Carson Pickett and
first time they'll play Denver.
Yeah, they're going to play Denver. So it's going to be a lot of soccer in Central Florida. So it's going to be fantastic.
And don't forget, for OCB, if you're a season ticket holder, you get tickets for free. You just have to claim them, which they're really easy to claim. So just go and claim them. If you're not one, it's only $10 to go to the OCB game. $10. That's all you need. $10. So all you got to do is show up for $10. They're just opening the east side of the stadium, so they'll have general seating on the east side of the stadium. So you'll only be able to sit on the east side. But it should be a really good time. I've heard the Ruckus and ILF are going to show up a little bit for the boys, so that should be exciting to see them out there as well.
Are they going to do an asado and a tailgate?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I saw they were doing that at training today on Wilder's Instagram. He was showing them doing they were doing the cookout today. So
there you go. If Harvey scores the brace, he's going to the A team 100%.
I think he's already done enough, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. I really hope the community is able to show up for OCB. It's a rivalry, and we'll get to see how our next ups perform under pressure from a hype Miami. Yeah, 100%. It's a rivalry, and I think we need to show up for OCB. And I think the boys need that extra boost of confidence. And again, they're playing with the hope that they get those short-term contracts to shine the first team. So they know the opportunity, especially this year, is higher than ever for them to get minutes with the first team. And that goes for even Tristan Himes, even for everybody there. Because we're a little thin right there in the depth chart. I don't think a translator is a big problem. Look at the special one. Come on, man. But I'm gonna talk about Mourinho, bro. I mean, if you really don't like Papi Ball, then you're definitely not gonna like Mourinho, bro. Because Mourinho.
What's the one that everyone wants? Big Ange. Everyone's looking to bring in Big Ange. So there you go.
What says here? I'm really blowing the whistle for Felipe Luis at this point. I mean, I like Felipe Luis a little. I think the prestige that he brings is a young coach. Nancy, I think he's MLS proven. So I mean, it just kind of depends.
It just depends if both of them get offers in Europe, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing: is do they get an offer in Europe and take that?
I mean, Nancy could easily coach in Championship. Can easily coach in the French league, first division. He's a top coach. Go for Otero, Venezuela, baseball champions, and we're now we're known for great goalkeepers. Yeah, congrats to Venezuela. The 3-2, that last inning, I mean, a big year for Venezuela on all levels. So if you're Venezuelan, you're probably like really happy. It says, with rumors, it's much like the Daily News. Sometimes drama sells, conflicting opinions lead to more clicks and generate profit.
Yeah, I get that. I wouldn't have normally said something about it if I didn't see a few different sources kind of report on it. But there were a few that I found that reported on it. I just think it was really funny because I, for one, am one of those people that think our goalkeeper position is not solid enough. So do I think we're going to go out and get a goalkeeper, though? No, it's not our number one priority. It doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. No, I wanted to. Do you have anything else you want to discuss before we go, David?
No, I just want to shout out all the folks that have been covering the team this
What?
week and going into the break that we're gonna have. It's weird to have a break this early in the season. I feel like it's too soon for us to have all this cut up. And then also, like, for all my other fellow season ticket holders out there, like, pour one out that we're not at the stadium for like a month. That's gonna stink. I hate being away from the stadium for like those long stretches of time during the season. But yeah, I'm gonna miss it for a couple weeks. But I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what our away record can be, and yeah, it should be rather exciting. We'll see what chops Perelman has. I'm curious to see how he can navigate all this.
I wanted to. We have usually our deep dives for the game, and we're probably still going to have one for Nashville. Should be coming up on that Friday night, Friday afternoon, more than likely. I try to invite Ben Wright. I haven't heard back from him at all. So if he's watching, Ben Wright, I just sent you a DM early this morning. So
one more shout out from me. Our good friend John made his trip over today across the pond, so he is officially back in England. So safe travels, of course, to him, and all the best again, my friend, on reintegrating back into England. All of that. We're really, of course, sad to see you go, but we know you'll still be a part of the show, and we really appreciate that. So we're looking forward to having you back when you're able to get back.
Yeah, 100%. And again, just make sure that you are checking us out. We're Loud and Proud Orlando. We're available on all social media. We're also going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts this episode, on X, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So thank you for your support. Make sure you click on the notification bell for all notifications. Also, thank you to everybody that's been checking our content on Instagram and TikTok. I know some of the players like Tristan Himes and Harvey and everybody, Sack. So thank you so much, guys. You guys, you know, I get a little crazy sometimes with the stuff.
I want to say this too. I really appreciate as well not only the players interacting with our stuff, but their families as well. Guys, remember, and I hate that I have to put this out here, but remember, they're fans as well as fans of their kids. So, like, a lot of them have been season ticket holders for a while or are fans of Orlando City. And, of course, sometimes they're going to be conflicted about wanting to see their sons play, right? And all those kind of things. We all are entitled to our opinion. We all have a way that we want to look at it. Just please be fair to everybody and be understanding. If you had a kid who was in the Orlando City Academy for a while and made their way up and had an opportunity, or you had a kid that was drafted by Orlando City and has an opportunity to play professional ball, of course you're going to be passionate about them seeing the field. It just makes sense, right? So it's okay for them to feel that passion. It's okay for them to put their opinion out there. It's just like my opinion or Luis's opinion. We're going to disagree on whether or not we think players are at a certain level. But of course, if I was a parent and I had a kid that was doing that, I'm going to be a little biased, right? It happens, but that's okay, right? Because, you know, you've seen them grow and all that kind of stuff. So I just don't, there's just some stuff I've seen online that I don't love about people being kind of down about academy players or being down about parents trying to speak up for their kids. They should. That's what they're there for. Any parent would do that. Yeah. So, like, allow them to kind of do that and vent how they want to vent with all that kind of stuff. We all have thoughts and opinions on that. And like I said with OCB, and I say this every article that I write, again, if you want to read some recaps on OCB, I try to do my best to put together a nice little collection of thoughts about the match. I'm never going to beat down on any of the players at OCB, especially the academy players who come up to play for OCB. A lot of these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old. I'm not going to bang, you know, an 18-year-old's like a thing over his head about a bad performance. That's not fair. He's 17, 18 years old, right? He's going to learn how to play the game. He's going to figure out a way to be accustomed to everything. You're never going to see me do that in those games. Now, for Orlando City, I might be a little more critical, but that's because these guys get paid to do it for a living, and this is their career, right? It's what they made their career off of. But you're never going to see me, without reason, come after a player and say, hey, this guy stinks or whatever, right? So I just want to put that out there. Let's be nice to our fellow fans. Remember, these parents are also fans of the club as well. Let's allow them to kind of speak their piece and do their thing and all that kind of stuff. It's just silly for us to get all bent out of shape about that.
Yeah, support the boys. It's a tough road ahead for them. They're going to be away from their families or from the loved ones. Giving you guys, hopefully they bag 9 points, and we're hyping the Perelmania and banging the drum until Houston, right? And Houston,
which is also not an easy game now anymore because Houston apparently showed up.
Yeah, Houston showed up, and now also we have a former Lion that played for Orlando for a long time, Antonio Carlos. Yeah, and we have no center.
I miss Antonio Carlos. I love that dude.
Right, I know. So he's gonna be coming back, but we know we need to score. We need to win. So hopefully we get into a really good positioning when it comes to wins and draws and
can we keep him here when he comes back? Is that possible? We'll just keep him in town.
I mean, Poppy's not here, so maybe. I don't know.
Because I don't know. I dream of the days of him and Robin Janssen playing next to each other. Oh man, I miss that defense.
That was their prime of that U.S. Open Cup,
and the passion he had and all that. Oh man,
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and he was a motivator of the pitch. So
he's still young comparatively. So
yeah, still pretty young. But anyways, thank you guys for your support. We're Loud and Proud Orlando. We'll see you guys on Monday. And again, I do want to say Monday we're going to be coming out a little later than usual. Just stay tuned for the socials. So we're going to be putting an announcement there, and then we'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good one, guys. Vamos Orlando. Take care.